You should be on page 16 of your packets, graphing linear inequalities. What we're going to do is we're going to take this linear graph and we're going to use inequalities with it. And inequalities are just these symbols right here. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than, greater than. So for our purpose, I want us to use the calculator and I want us to graph that function. So we're going to use the calculator because you can. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that equation in y equals. So you're going to type in 2x minus 3. Now, if you count out these, this is a 10 by 10, so 10 this way, this way, this way, and this way. So this is a 10 by 10. And when you graph your equation on the calculator, it also has a 10 by 10. So this graph should almost match identical here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to second graph and you're going to find 3 points to graph. So I want us to for sure use a positive number, a negative number, and 0 if we can. So I'm gonna graph negative 2, negative 7, 0, 3, and let's go 2, 1. So negative 2, negative 7, zero, negative 3, and 2, 1. And I could have graphed this by hand where you have a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of negative 3. So here's your negative 3, and I could have gone up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, or down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So that's where those points came from. So it just, the graphing calculator makes it easy on you, and it just gives you points on the graph. So now I'm going to connect these dots. And I want to draw a line completely through the graph. And my straight line didn't get so straight here. It was not so straight. So, not that that's too much better, but it's better than what it was. Okay, so that's a graphing linear. Now, we're going to skip this part right here because it's going to get a little confusing until we come back. So we're going to now graph that same graph on here, except we're going to do it with an inequality. So I'm just going to use those same points, negative 2, negative 7, 0, negative 3, and 2, 1. And I'm just going to connect the lines. And really I shouldn't have connected the lines just yet, but I'm safe because there's a line underneath. Okay, so here's what you need to know about these particular inequalities. So this is less than or equal to, and what you need to know are about these are if they have a line underneath, they need a solid line, and if they don't have a line underneath, they need a dotted or dashed line. So either one of those will work. For some reason I always write dotted, but I dash them. I'm not entirely sure why. Now from here, those who have had me before should remember this. but just in case. This is how I've had my students in the past remember the difference between less than and greater than in order to shade. Okay, so whether you believe in these particular two things is not what's in question. It's what is believed where they are. So when we talk about the devil and God, normally when they say the devil, they say the devil's down low and God is up above. Well, when you have the devil, you shade below. When you have God, you shade above. So again, the devil's below, God is above. So when you're looking at this, you should know this creates the D. So this is shade below. This creates the G, so it's above. The D below, the G above. So a lot of the times, if you can remember this about the above and below, a lot of the times you can cancel out two answer choices because they like to throw in those on your EOC tests. Okay, so because we had a line underneath, I know that this is a solid line. So I talked about this earlier. I shouldn't have drawn the line just yet, but because there was a line underneath, I was safe to draw it a solid line. If there wasn't, I'd actually have to have little spaces in between the lines. Now, if you look here, this would create the D. So if you look, if I put a point above the line and below the line, I have to shade in the region below. So the region below would be all of this. And that's the answer. Now, this next part says, which of the following would be a solution to what we just graphed? Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm going to show you both ways, and then you can decide which one you prefer. You can do it the old-fashioned, let's graph the points, or you can do it where you plug and chug. So let's talk about the plug and chug first. So I'm going to write this equation down real quick, or this inequality. And I'm going to plug in the numbers. I know that this is x, and I know that this is y. So this would be 0 less than 2 times 1 minus 3. So I would go to the regular calculator and say 2 times 1 minus 3. So that's negative 1. So is 0 less than or equal to negative 1? The answer is no, so this is false. Or it's not a solution. So either way you want to put it, either one of those would work. Now to prove to you that it's not, if I go to 1, 0, that's right here. Do you see how it's not in the shaded region and it's not on the line? That means it's not a solution. Alright, we're going to do the same thing for the next one. So again, I'm going to write down the inequality. And now I'm going to write this is x, this is y. So 8 less than 2 times 4 minus 3. I'm going to use my calculator. So that gives me 5. So 8 is less than or equal to 5. Is that true? It is not, so this is not a solution. So then I would go prove again to y'all why it doesn't. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8's right here. Do you see how it's not in the, you see how that point's not in the blue section? That means it's not a solution. So if you have it graphed, we're going to do this one. We're going to do -6, -2. So I'm going to go down to -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 2. See how that's not in there? This would be no solution. Or not a solution, sorry. -8, 0 can be right here. That's not a solution. And -5, 4. That's not in there, so none of these are a solution. In order for it to be a solution, again, it has to be in the blue area.